Thursday.
I don't know whether it's afternoon or evening.
No, it's after 5. You're a gentleman. These days, see, you're hanging out in KC country, but after 4 p.m. it's good evening.
Good
Yes.
evening.
So, Ike.
Yes, sir.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Now, this is a journey that it spans about 6 decades. Now, for those of you who know, and you're like, oh man, Ike looks and sounds so familiar. Yeah, most of your journeys for this generation would begin at a place called Kengeles. But obviously, there was life before Kengeles. Kengeles was not the genesis, Ike.
Absolutely not.
So, anyone who knows you would describe you as a dynamo. But let's go back, literally go back in time. And Ike Bukaribia, your mic. Let's go back in time. Kamsa. And I'm talking about, where does Edward Kuria's journey begin as a youth, brother?
First of all, like as you said,
Yes.
Today I'm 57 years old, heading
Yes.
on to 58.
Yes.
That means I'm on the south side of 5th floor.
Yes.
So when we talk background, I'm born, brought up Kiambu.
Right.
My parents were educators, still are, because my mother is alive. My father passed on just at the end of COVID time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole start. Primary school, high school,
Right.
and this was the time that you'd finish 6th form,
Yes.
and you have to wait for a year
Yeah.
to go into National Youth Service.
Yeah.
And my father, being an educator, decided that I shouldn't wait to go to the National Youth Service. And one day comes into the house and drops papers on the table saying that I'm supposed to go to, I remember, Maharashtra in India,
Yes.
to be a medical doctor.
Bas.
Something that I refused to do. And I was pretty determined to be in the finance world.
Yes.
So I immediately after joined Strathmore School,
Bas.
when it was very hard to go in because only 40 students would be accepted every year.
Well, that is what is Strathmore University now.
Yes,
Okay.
but then it was a college.
Yes.
This in Lavington.
Yes.
And that's where my career started.
So hold on. So then, I remember Strath College. This is because the primary school came last, by the way, right?
Yes. No.
It's
They
a
were there
campo.
together.
Yeah.
There was a primary school section, there was a high school section, and there was a college, all in one compound.
I see.
Yes,
Okay,
all of them in
okay,
one company.
okay,
In fact,
okay.
I remember at some point we used to play football at St. Mary's because we didn't have enough of playing grounds.
Yes.
But the college section and the high school section and the primary section
Right.
were all in one single compound in
All right.
Lavington. Yes.
And did you ever become Opus Dei?
I'm not Catholic.
Okay.
I'm a Protestant.
Okay.
But I can possibly say that everyone who has been through Strathmore
Yes.
has been through a very grueling ethics courses
Right.
and Christianity courses
Right.
that form a very beautiful ethical background to
Right.
any future that you have in the employment industry. And the beauty about Strathmore School is that, and the college, and I believe even today, is the fact that they have a very strong religious background,
Yes.
a very strong ethics base, and that is what sets up. If you're out here. And I'm sure you've looked around.
Yes.
A lot of professionals in the industry
But that's
today
true, that's true.
who have a Strathmore background.
Yeah.
I can actually pretty well say that they are really involved in any scandals.
That is true. I mean, you talk about former governor,
Absolutely, yes.
and then yourself, and then also clearly, also my bro was there.
I know you, bro.
Yes. And then,
Yeah.
so let's talk about brothers. See, now that we've said, by the way, he did a good plug there for Strathmore.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Should I give him a round of applause? That one, a good
I
one.
think you should.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, Ike, my brothers. So you know my brothers, not just the one.
Yes.
Let's talk about your siblings, okay? Because
Yes.
first of all, you're a sharp guy. I mean, you've got a doctorate in pure math, but you refused to go to India. Everyone was going to India. Even my big bro went to India. There's a time, Mariam, I don't know if you know this, that Campos, if you're not going here,
Yeah.
it was not UK, state or Australia. It was India. And it was to study medicine, Baba.
Well, it's a pretty interesting story, by the way. I'll tell you about the reason I'm not a doctor today.
Right.
It had nothing to do with my father taking me to India.
Okay.
It had everything to do with a practical test that I did for biology in my A-levels. A very quick story. What happened is that we go in for biology practicals, and the thing they give you is an orange. and you walk into the laboratory and you see an orange, and essentially you are told, you look at the questions. There are 20 questions on the practical paper, and the first thing you see is cut an orange in half.
Yes.
So I look at question 2, with that half, do this. Question 3, with the same half, do this. Question 9, you're on the same half. So I assumed that, these guys couldn't have given you half an orange. They had to give you a full orange to do the practical test. So as I was doing the first 10 questions, I was eating the other half. Question 11 was about the half I had just eaten. So now we can quit that story at that point. I think I think you get the picture here.
Listen, this is a true story.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you ask my friends,
That's a true story?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's what happened. Question 11 was about the other half of the orange, and there went my biology exam. I did mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology.
Sharp.
And that's where me and biology took a fork on the road because of the orange. So here I am as an accountant because of eating the other half of the orange. Yes, sir.
Listen, so EK, talk to me about your siblings, bro. Rest R.I.P. Both of the folks were walimus. Yeah.
My dad is the one who's passed on. My mother is alive. She's 81.
Right.
She was also an educator. My brother is an agricultural engineer. My sister is in the medical field. There's only 3 of us. I lost a sister in the US in 2003. But we do come from a deep educational background.
I love that.
And we are a pretty close family.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
But you see, with time, everyone knows. But what I can possibly say about myself is I'm the journeyman in the family. I'm the person who never settled. I'm the person who has always never been home. But I thank my father for that because he would allow me to do anything. After Strathmore and after a career spanning about 10, 15 years, I started traveling from when I was 38. And I came back to Kenya when COVID came in.
Exactly. I remember that. We'll get there.
Yes.
Now, so here we are, it's A-levels, and it's biology, we eat half the orange, so clearly that biology paper is done. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
And then how does that journey lead us to get a PhD in pure math, bro?
This is what happened. When people are at NYS, people would join NYS after the exams in about a year.
Right.
And in that year, waiting while people were waiting to go to the university, I was actually simply just registered at Strathmore. And by the time the guys who at NYS were through, and that would mean 2 years before you join your first first year at the university.
Yes.
I was a CPK.
Yes.
And I started being a junior tutor at Strathmore.
Yes.
And I can basically thank Mr. James Boyd McPhee. He was my tutor, has been my mentor all the way up to now. University came after, but CPA was the one that came in first.
Right.
And I was very grateful, I was very lucky that I had good mentors.
I love that.
Having parents who had gone through the school system. One interesting is that my dad went to the University of London in the 70s.
Wow.
And he took education very seriously.
Right.
And for me, the journey would have ended with a CPA. But my dad was old school, seriously old school. He's those guys who would call the family at home and maybe he wants to sell a plot of land. And the first thing he would ask you to sit down, tell you I want to sell a plot here and there. And obviously, being the oldest in the family, I would be told to not talk because I'm not educated enough.
Wow.
It was that tough. He would tell you you're not qualified to sit in a discussion with people who are educated.
Wow.
So essentially, you now tend
Yes,
to go back
yes,
to
yes,
to
yes.
school
Yes.
simply to prove a thing to your parents.
Yes.
And that's why even in the most times when I sit and talk to people, I talk about my CPA because I did my CPA out of my own passion.
Did.
I did the other subjects to prove something to my dad. You see, so it's not something that you have used in my profession to advance myself in any way. CPA and the pursuit of financial subjects is what has built me. But anything else that I've done in the education world
Yes.
was to prove something to my parents.
I like that. So now, when were you finally allowed to sit in the table of men? Is it because
you had to have papers, Dugu, Kwach, you had to have serious papers
Yes.
for even to take notes
Yes.
and on proceedings.
Yes.
You and most probably be able to put them in a bulletin form.
Yes.
You became the preacher in the family. You became the guy who looks for the verse that you pray with when the meeting is over.
By the way, we had that as well. By the way, it was note taking and bullet.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
bullet
as long
points.
as you are taking notes,
Right.
you're not supposed to most probably participate in the
Discourse.
detailed discourse of whatever is supposed to happen in the family. And my father would take that very seriously. And he would keep reminding you, do you realize you're not educated? You know, when that happens
Yes.
among siblings, you feel left out.
But that's true.
And you get angry. You feel resentful.
Yes.
But I'll tell you this, it's a hard world. I needed that because I also would go through school with a lot of ease.
With a lot of?
I never used to take anything seriously. By the way, I still don't
Right.
because I realized you'll die at some point. So as you are alive, be happy with whatever you've got. My dad had a very different perspective because of his background.
Right.
So did my mom.
Right.
For them to finish school, like my mother was a student at Kaboi Teachers College.
Right.
During the time, Her Excellency Lucy Kibaki was a principal.
Wow.
My father went to Kenyatta University in 1963. So you can imagine at that point, somebody going to university, they were having a very, very hard time adjusting.
That's true.
So it never got out of them. And I remember my father would tell us that during the holidays, he would go picking coffee to pay to go to university.
Wow.
The same
This
thing
is in
with my-
Kiambu.
Yes, because Kiambu now,
Yes,
all the farms were either
Indeed.
coffee farms and tea farms.
yeah.
And my mother would do the same.
Yeah.
So here you are, you've gotten children, you've gone to the UK, you've gotten married, you come back to Kenya, and suddenly your kids are eating sausages without going to. So we
friend.
grew up hard because at some point you could even say they were revenging on the fact that they went through a lot of pain, you know. But that's what brought us now to those levels of education, and the fact that I started school when I was not in school.
Right.
Let me explain that. You would go home in the evening. You are 3 years old. Your father is teaching you up to multiplication table. Wow. Because it's nothing. I mean, your mother is a teacher. Your father is a teacher. So in the evening, he's filling the crossword puzzle. You want to fill the crossword puzzle. So he gives you exams in maths and whatever and all these things. That background built something into me that I'm able to look at figures and get to totals without exactly using a calculator. I'll get within an error margin of something because that's how I grew up.
And you're brilliant when it comes to figures. So we're going to take a commercial break.
Yes.
Oh man, it's Edward Kuria. He's got stories for days. Ike.
Yes, sir.
So you've mentioned McPhee here.
Yes.
You know, and by the time you're joining Campo, you had your CPA, eh? Mm-hmm. Now, what music was driving you? What is Edward Kuria listening to at this particular? Your peers are there. They are climbing. Wako hapo. They are huko in. I'm shrubbing it. National Youth Service.
Yes.
I tell you, the good old days.
Yes.
What are you listening to, brother? You sent us a list of songs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you know the list, or can I remind you? You've got a sharp brain. Can I remind you of the list? Do you remember what you're listening to?
Yes, mostly Let It Whip by
I like
Jazz
that.
Band.
No, Baba. Because we're just going to play one song.
All right.
So we are going to play the Jazz Band's Let It Whip. Ne?
Yes.
And then when we get back, we now pick up that baton.
Yes.
Of now, you see, we start now in the work front. Okay.
Absolutely.
And remember, you said you ventured out of Kenya. You said at 38, 37,
At 38.
at
yes.
38.
Yes.
But between the time you finish Campo, and then you start going outside of Kenya, because that's the journey I really love and I want you to share.
Yes.
What is Edward Kuria doing? We are talking about the managing partner of Lobo Solo Consulting House. And man, he's got a story. If you've got any questions, we're live on Facebook, by the way. If you've got any questions, go on to Spice FM KE. All right, it is Transformational Thursday. Our guest is Edward Kuria. You need to live stream this show. Go into spicefm.co.ke. Transformational Thursday with Edward Kuria. I'm going to be back with him next. The boys of the Jazz Band with Let It Whip, man. A song that takes him back in time, because formative years. There he is. He's doing a CPA-K. All right. Huko Strathmore College, and man, he's minded us about the McPhees of this world. Today is the managing partner of Lobo Solo Consulting House. This is a gentleman, when you talk about Rolling Stones gather no moss, and we talk about a guy who is ideally, the folks wanted him to do medicine, but now he's got a doctorate in pure math. He told us about that particular journey. If you were not part of it, please get on to, you need to live stream this. We're live on Facebook. Get on to spicefm.co.ke. It's Transformational Thursday, where we aspire to inspire. We bring you stories, life journeys of peoples who their journeys and their stories epitomize that word that we call grit. This is a gentleman who, yani, in a loose 2 years, is going to hit that benchmark we call 60. But you know what? He also epitomizes that saying that life is for the living. You know, he reminds me, it's just that in that other sense, people say that alikuwa kaburu. Okay? He was called Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes.
Yeah.
He walked from the tip of Africa to the south to literally, alikuwa anatembea, not in a motorgari. So that's true.
Yes.
He walked Africa. And how is that? Why are you mentioning a racist here, Mr. Kwat? No, but then also there are Rhodes scholarships, I say, that he gave to widows, by the way. Okay. But I say this because in studio, we have a gentleman who lives in Naivasha. Literally has come from Naivasha now. Okay. And I've got this correct. Has invested in Kisangani, which of course you know is in the DRC. He's also invested in King Sasha, which is in the DRC. He deals, him and Sebo, which is M7. They've got one thing in common, livestock here in Naivasha. He's also got a consultancy based in Kigali, which, as last I checked, was in Rwanda. He calls me up last week and says, dude, I'm going to be away for a little while because you know what? Malawi, Zambia, an acre of land is 1 million bob. Let's go do something. He does things. Edward Kuria is in the studio. Now, Ike.
Yes, sir.
You are telling us now, regaling us with those tales. So you might be listening and you're like, yeah, I remember Kuria. But wasn't Kuria that guy of Kingelis? Now, when you laugh if he tells that Kingelis story nicely, properly. Okay, now, take us from your work journey up until Kingelis, brother. Where does your journey of employment, I'm talking about Salario, start, brother? Not consultancy, not biashara, Salario.
After I was through with my CPAs,
Sharp.
Obviously, just like everybody in the accountancy industry understands, half of what you study is not what you use when in the work environment. You need practical knowledge, and the best place to start is at the bottom. So I started as a clerk somewhere in Ruaraka.
Yes.
I was working with a company that does tire trades, trendsetter tires.
Right.
Did clerking there, and I remember for 6 months I was taken to the checks department.
Yeah.
Because unlike today, when you do online checks for big, huge companies, you would get a clerk to simply write checks.
Yes.
And every morning I would walk in and they would give me about 150 checks to write.
Wow.
And putting in the payee and making sure that however long the name is, it fits into that line for the payee. You're supposed to pay 195,238, and it fits in those lines.
Yes.
I had a guy who would keep cancelling those checks and shouting at me.
Yes.
But he gave me the idea of precision.
Right.
If you're given, you see, also, I don't know whether you've ever realized there are some banks that specifically punish you if you're filling
Yes,
out a
by
form.
the way, yes.
Thank you. If you're
out of the
you're
box.
basically filling
Yes.
out a form
Yes.
and you're paying, say, 235,000 shillings,
Yes.
725
Bars.
and 50 cents,
Yes.
which you're supposed to put in words.
Yes.
They give you a box
Yes.
that is a line
Yes.
that does not even get to the margin.
Exactly.
Now, how you are supposed to fit all those words in there is a problem. And the moment you do a cancellation,
Yes.
you have to sign or get another paper.
That's true.
Well, that's a story for another day, and
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the banks, but I love my bank. They have bigger boxes. But then again, that's where I got my clerking experience. From there, I joined Sharp Copiers as an accountant.
Yes.
I was the chief accountant for about 2 years.
Right.
And then one day at home, I simply fill out forms. That time, Newsweek and Time Magazine used to be the magazines you would buy on Friday.
That's true.
Because there was no internet then. So to catch up with the world, you buy Newsweek and you buy Time Magazine. And I'm casually reading the Newsweek magazine on Saturday. And at the back, I see a company called Swiss Development Corporation. That's a parastatal in Switzerland. Or they were looking for an accountant to run or do audit of their local development programs. And I applied, which would mean you fill out a paper, go to the post office, buy stamps and send it out there.
Yes.
Well, long story short, I got the job.
Yes.
And for 7 years, I was all over. I was in Anyuki, I was in Sudan, I was in Tanzania, I was in Botswana. I got quite to visit Africa.
So that is what the Swiss DevCorp.
Yes.
So they're the people who basically opened your eyes. They gave you that chance to travel.
Absolutely. Because this is the time now Somalia was also a problem. So there were the Dadaab refugee camps. There were problems in southern Sudan because the war was ongoing.
Oh, so I did already come and done their things. They had started.
They were busy.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
So these guys were providing aid, supplying water to the displaced communities, and in very many different areas. So out of 43 countries, I was auditing, I think, 39. So I'd go out to Sudan for 2 weeks, come back here, go to Somalia, come back here, go to any of those.
Kuria, Edward, let us be clear.
Yes.
So Friday, yeah, and you're right. You get your from the newsstand. You get your Newsweek and your Time,
Yes.
right? At the back of one of these magazines, the Swiss Development Corporation is looking for what?
An accountant.
In Kenya.
An auditor. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
An auditor
Yeah.
to audit projects in
Africa. Come on.
So you could have applied from Colombia for whatever. Yeah. So I just applied and I quoted my local knowledge.
Yes.
I got my resumes approved by Strathmore College. And that's why Strathmore for me forms a major part of my life. They help you grow. And if you walk in there and you're an alumni,
yes,
I don't think even today there's no service you wouldn't get there. I'll tell you what, I would not be what I am today without that college.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Because I was pretty wild and they instilled a discipline in me, which I hope they still do, although I'm still an alumni. I don't go there a lot.
Yes.
But I can tell you for free, it changes you. I'm not a priest.
Right.
But I'm close to it because of them.
I like
you
that.
know, there are things I won't do, not because I don't think I would profit from them, but it's because of how my alumni would look at me associated with that college and doing this. That just doesn't work.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here you are. You're auditing clearly. I'm assuming the Swiss. Wow. But then now it's if we mention that one, it's going to go on such a tangent. Is the Swiss Development Corporation something like USAID?
Yes.
Go there,
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a parastatal in Switzerland.
Right.
And it's development aid,
right,
and they deal with difficult areas in the world.
Right.
So essentially when they give you funds
right,
to run, say, a water program somewhere,
yeah,
or or they are feeding refugees in places like Dadaab.
Sharp.
They got local suppliers. They got people who are supplying pipes. They've got the professionals who are laying the pipes and all. All I would do is audit the amounts that have been given and whether they've been used properly, which was very difficult because essentially you don't get free food if you are a peaceful fella.
I like that.
Yes,
that makes so much sense.
That is not exactly a church.
Yes,
So
exactly.
you'll go there and chaps have stolen food and they're the ones you're supposed to be auditing.
Do you know this makes now so much sense because when he first came back and he told me he'd been out there in Kisangani.
Yeah.
I'm like, what takes a black Kenyan
Yes.
to open a hotel in Kisangani? But so you're the Swiss Dev Corp, you're the auditor.
Yes.
For 8 years, brother.
Yes. Up to 90. That is 89
Yeah,
to 1994. Yes.
Okay. What happens in 1994? Have we made enough money or we're just tired?
These jobs are not permanent and pensionable.
Which is true.
Obviously, it's a
Yes,
contract
yes,
that
yes.
you renew every 2 years.
Yes.
And after 6 years, I was tired. I have a problem of sticking to one place because familiarity becomes a bore.
Bus.
So 94, I decided I'm through with that and I want another challenge. And this is when now I form another company in the telecommunications field, which I had not included in this.
Yes.
So we said at this point in time, 94,
Yes.
to make a call to the US was very expensive.
Yes.
You'd pay about 40 shillings per minute. And then in my shenanigans, just before I resigned, I met a chap who told me, look, we have a callback company in a place called California.
Yes.
And all you need to do is you'll set up in Kenya. We'll give you a code in the US, in LA. And this is what happens. If you want to call London, you'd use your normal ringer set, the one that we used to have.
Yes.
The dial one.
Us guys, because obviously we're in Justice's house.
Yes.
We dare not. We used to go to Telcom to make those calls.
Exactly. This is what would happen. You want to call somebody in the UK.
Right.
So you call +1. You call 1 and the number that you want to call.
Bus.
And all that would need to happen is the phone would ring once in LA. And you hang up. And the company had a PABX that knows that when this code comes in, this is Squatch who is calling.
See.
So when they call you back, they are charging you 3 shillings per minute. And then they connect you to your number in the UK at 3 shillings. So for the 33 shillings you are paying KPTC,
Yes.
you would pay 6 shillings. But I would be charging about 12 shillings per minute. And we had a thrilling time for 3 years. We had serious money for 3 years because KPTC never got. You see, you cannot be arrested. You cannot be arrested for making a call that rings once and you hang up. There's no criminal offense in that. And you also cannot be arrested for being called from the US. And it became a very major problem until at some point KPTC, as it was then, because they were the telecommunications supplier before Safaricom, they shut us down. And we were doing serious revenues, 7 million a month, 8 million a month.
And this
I
is
won't
in the early
mention
90s.
The companies that enjoyed our services, but there were many. There were very many. And we were completely shut down by KPTC.
Right.
And that became a story that ended when Safaricom now came in with their with their mobile telephony. And this is around 95, 97.
Yes.
But we had already made some very serious money. Big industries were with us.
Right.
Because essentially all I would do is have a list of my clients.
Indeed.
And these guys would produce a bill at the end of the month of how many calls you've made. And I would send it to your office and you'd pay me in dollars and I would pay the people in the US and life was beautiful.
I guess is that because obviously in the US,
yes,
then comes AGOA.
Yes.
Is that how you then start manufacturing jeans for people like Calvin Klein?
No. This is what happened. Now, after that company died, I also went broke and I got bored and I was out of the industry for quite a number of years. Then in 2002, 2003, AGOA comes up and they are saying if you put up your factories anywhere, we are able to send you garments. And this is what would happen. If you're manufacturing jeans, you have 2 options. Very few companies in Kenya manufacture the garment. They do what you call CMT, cut, make, and trim. They would send you the material, they would send you the thread They would send you the buttons. They would send you the packing. So all you had to do was have a line of sewing machine guys. You cut the material. One line of those guys is making one leg of the jean. The other line is making one leg of the jean. It gets to a point, maybe machine number 20, and they put it together now with a clutch. Then there's a guy at the end with a zip. Another guy puts in a button. And then there was a special machine. You see, the button you use to button up your jean has a hole that looks like an eye.
Yes.
It's called an eyelet.
Yes.
An eyelet buttonhole. And you'd make it specifically with a specific machine. I didn't have any money, so I called a few friends of mine who are my seniors. Who most probably are even listening now because I told them I'll be here. And they put their money together. They were older than me. I never put in any money. I just put in my knowledge. And we got into business. And we set up right across from on Mombasa Road. We used to call ourselves Falcon Apparel Exporters. And we ran for about 2.5 years. And then we had to very, very suddenly shut down because it was painful. It was painful because we have a culture in Kenya that I feel still continues. This is what you'd call freedom, where when you employ somebody who stitches garments and you're the CEO and you don't pay them at the end of the month, life becomes very difficult for you. Because this is what would happen. We would manufacture...
the garments have legs and those legs will move.
I'll tell you exactly how this goes. You would manufacture 1,000 jeans a day. We were doing 1,000 pairs of jeans a day. That means you from garment up to packed stage.
Wow.
And then a container would take 21,200 pairs.
There's 40 foot.
Absolutely. Now, you had to ship that container, having been checked by customs, all the way to Mombasa, get your bill of lading, which you send to the Americans, and then they send you the money. I think they were paying something like $3 a piece. So you're making $3,000 a day, which comes to about $100,000 a month.
My friend.
That is gross, net of whatever expenses. But then again, now look at a scenario where on the 27th, it's a Friday. As we speak here, it's 8 o'clock in America. Whichever state, I mean, it's like morning. So if you just sent your bill of lading today, you know Monday is the end of the month. These guys will receive the bill of lading on a Saturday. But they open on Monday. And your workers, on Monday is the 3rd. So people are expecting the moment you open, you're going to pay your salaries. But the guys in the US, as you are busy fighting here with rungus in the factory, the chaps in America are sleeping. It's Sunday night.
True. That's true.
By the time the chap comes out and sends you the check, you'd be waking up, sitting down to have breakfast, to go to the office, and you're watching KTN.
That's true.
And you're watching your guys from the factory here on Mombasa Road with vibaos in the air. Kuria must go. The same. Those are your workers in the factory. And they have blocked Mombasa Road. Now, the beauty at that point was that there were no mobile phones. So the PPO could not reach you. You couldn't eat your egg. And I used to live on this highway. And we would now have to take salaries most probably on a Tuesday with the police escort and whatever. Now, the gentlemen, the senior guys who are...
The ring leaders.
No. I'm now talking of my co-investors.
Okay.
These are serious fellas in the community. So the blame, obviously, having been the CEO, was on me. And they didn't want the dirt in the game.
Wow.
And till today, and they are listening, they keep telling me I'm part of the traumatic lives they live today.
Which year was this?
This was 2002, 2003. We sold out in 2004.
No financial institutions were supporting you in terms of overdrafts and all that
to be
able to keep moving.
We did need them. Let me tell you, one of the things that people misunderstand in the business world is when somebody says, you could have gone to the bank and borrowed. That's a very easy statement. But you see, you need to have the right formation to borrow. There are things like return on investment. How long have you operated? Are your accounts in the last 6 months proper? And if you hear me complaining of us not paying workers, don't you think that we had a number of bounce checks? Now, bounce checks are not a credit facility that you would want to go and speak with the bank about. So I'm not even blaming the bank. We got to a point where everybody got tired. And it was so painful that we had closed because we were the first black... we were the second black African company to open a Goa in Kenya. And we had to shut down.
Do you know?
Because I got to a point where I was admitted to hospital for not pressure, just my headaches that don't go.
Bus.
Migraine. You wake up in the morning, Odhiambo has decided he's not going to cut material.
Bus.
You wake up the next morning, Kimani has decided to go away with a needle that you cannot get here again. Or somebody has messed up with the eyelet. Because I'll always remember that. An eyelet buttonhole machine. There's only one and it's worth $500,000. The guy just changes a small dial. And there it is. Your jeans will not have.
Yeah, you cannot button up.
So
completely.
I realized we did a lot of things. We did Calvin Klein. We did Victoria's Secrets.
Wrangler.
We were doing pretty well.
Hold on. So you don't know about these? How they are? This Agora thing.
No,
it's
I don't.
Now it's called EPZ. I think.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Is it this? Okay.
Yeah, more or less. The same.
Yeah, you know, you'd look at a woman then and you'd tell even the size of her bra.
Yes.
Just by looking, because you
Bus.
make them.
Yes.
The size of somebody, whether it's a size 10 or a 12, you tell. But we had to close down at some point because it became, and anyway, the people who had invested in my idea are people who are serious corporate people here.
All right.
And it would have gotten to a point where their lives would have been spoiled.
Edward, namesake, you see, this is the thing, though. You know, and you said there's a time, Parker, you're admitted to hospital. Now, here you are.
Yeah.
My brother, you've gone from telecoms making, in the 90s, my early 90s, like 7-8 mic a month.
Yes.
Your pesa kenda yote.
Yes.
You Agora here, $100,000 with a container load, 40 foot. Sorry, at the end of the month, gross.
Yes.
Your pesa ikaenda yote.
Yes.
Brother, but you don't give up. Then, because you tell an interesting story, how then does it go from that? Then you go back to employment. No, but here it says director.
Yes.
I want to know, because this is now where our paths meet.
Yes.
Or rather cross, because it's now at Kengeles.
Yeah.
Tell us about that Kengeles story, brother.
So this is what happens. A friend of mine, who will remain unmentioned, bought one franchise in Kengeles on Koinange Street. Yes. And I'm out here walking. I have nothing much I'm doing. I'm simply counting pebbles.
Do you have a family at that point?
Yeah.
You had a family at that point, huh?
I had a child. I don't know how we describe that. I got my first child. That's a difficult question.
Mariam understands that very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a child. Let's leave it at that. And so I meet this guy and he tells me, I'm running this place. Why don't you come and manage it for me?
Bus.
And I start there. Now I'm a manager of Kengeles Koinange Street.
Yes.
And I start putting up advertising and I had a lot of friends by then in Nairobi, and the place started filling up.
Yes.
And suddenly, and this is an anecdote that I would like to add.
Please.
One fine morning, I'm sitting there, and somebody walks into the restaurant, and they tell me they are a musician, and they can sing.
Yeah.
And immediately I told him, obviously, I also can sing. Yes. But, what do you have that's new? So he tells me, I want to do a presentation for you this evening. Yeah. And I realized we used to have a small band upstairs that and they would leave their equipment there. And I asked him, when you're playing, I'm not going to pay you because this is a test. Yeah. And I'm not supposed to pay you. So you come in the evening, you play, come with your guys. All I'll do is give you dinner and you play. And then I call my boss, because now I'm employed. I call my boss and he tells me, no, it's okay. Yeah, let him come and play. And I invite my pals and they come in and this guy plays beautifully. That was Kidum.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
That was his first ever performance in Kenya. And from there the club started filling up. And I can tell you, thanks to Kidum, Kengeles Koinange Street became very, very popular.
It was the spot.
So the owners, the directors of Kengeles, who are running another 14 hotels around, come and find the hotel is full.
Yes.
And that time, Kengeles was going down.
Yes.
And they asked me to join the directorship and the board as a shareholder for no money. Simply just to sit to direct finances, to be in charge of operations. And I moved now from Kengeles Koinange Street to Kengeles head office in Lavington. And that's how the story of Kengeles came in. So at some point now, I was director of operations and finance for 14 of those hotels.
Yes.
Even one
Yes.
in Sudan. And that's how I got into Kengeles. Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I would like at this particular point, if
Yes.
Kidum is listening,
Yes.
or if he ever listens,
Yeah.
that's the person who built me, but he keeps telling people I'm the one who did that.
Oh, wow.
We did it together.
You
I
did it
love it.
together.
Yes,
You know, I've
yes. I
wondered. He's
love
been
it.
in Kengeles for quite a while, you know?
Yes.
He's
Yes.
played,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kidum is a beautiful gentleman,
Yes.
and he knows his stuff. And he's the only musician I know who plays. His music exemplifies his life
I like that's so true, by the way. That is so
because
true.
he's very emotional.
Yes.
Kidum can play and
Mas-
cry,
By the way.
and which
yeah.
I used to find very difficult as a Kikuyu because
Yeah.
we don't. Doesn't matter what kind of emotion you are.
Yeah.
Crying is the last thing you're going to do. Thank you.
No, I love that story. Now, another story that I love is then there we are at Kengeles, and then they'll be nameless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then they come and they offer you some monies. Tell us that story,
No, this
but
is- this is
but
what-
sans the names, okay?
Yes, this is what happens.
Yes.
One day I'm just sitting down,
Yeah.
minding my own business. It's Saturday morning. I had gone out, and some two gentlemen walk in, and they tell me we would want to buy your shareholding.
Yes.
And by that time, I had run this place for 3 years. I was living somewhere on St. Mary's Road, Ukoju, some Bishop's Road.
Yes.
And I asked them, these are people who are respectable members of the community.
That's true.
Who see me as a young boy. So they gave me a figure. And I had
We
spent
just say the figure.
close to $1 million.
But
And,
dollars. Yeah.
And
Wow.
they simply told me, you walk out. We'll walk in. And so I asked them, do you guys really have the money? And they told me, it is in that bank. And we walked in, and in 2 hours, I was out.
What?
I walked away. Yes. So I go home, and I remember that day I put in my SIM card. No, my bank card to a number of ATMs just to confirm that the money is in the account.
Opportunities
You
find
know how
you,
you go,
huh?
you
Wow.
get money. You go to the actual ATM
Yes.
outside the bank.
Yes.
To confirm.
You check and you look at the zeros and you agree, yeah. Then you take it out. You go down to another
Another
bank
one.
to just check, are these guys for true? Yes, they are. Then I go home and it is a lunchtime.
Yes.
And I'm sitting idly thinking, now I have some money.
Yes.
And I have no job. And I'm idly looking at CNN and I'm seeing people fighting very seriously in Kisasha.
But
It's midday and people are throwing stones, the police and what.
Yes.
And I called my agent. I said, if people are fighting like this, there must be money there. And I called my travel agent.
you see the way he's thinking.
Yeah.
I'd never been to DRC, and I called my travel agent, and I told him, "Dude, get me a ticket Monday morning. I want to be in DRC."
Yes.
But then again, this particular friend of mine in Kengeles had started running a restaurant, running or trying to do business in DRC remotely.
Yes.
So I decided, let me go there physically, and that's how I landed in Kinshasa, and stayed there for the next 5 years.
There we go. Now, that's a right place to segue. We're getting into the news. Now, there's Westlife, there's Nanel Richie, there's Steel Pulse.
Yes.
Which one do we play now as you're transiting? You've got that $1 million check.
I think that
EK.
would be Steel Pulse.
Steel Pulse.
Yes, that would be a nice one.
Very good.
Thanks.
Oh, man. It's Edward Kuria, our guest for Transformational Thursday. We'll be back with him after the news, which is on the way next. Hey. The Burundian who settled in Kenya, by the way, and you know, if there's somebody who epitomizes grit, by the way, and our guest Edward Kuria will attest to that. It is that one Kidum, by the way, my brother. Hatirudu nyuma kamwe.
Absolutely.
Yes. There is Steel Pulse.
Yes.
All right, by the way, with the bodyguard. All right, and our guest in studio, Edward Kuria. What is that song? What is it? You know, what memories does it invoke for you, my brother?
You know, during our time,
Yes, sir.
hey, I'm talking like I'm 80 here, but I'm saying in my youth,
Yes.
in our 20s, in our
Yes.
30s,
Yes.
a band was a band.
That's so true.
There were drums, there were guys doing bass guitar, there were guys who were doing strings, there were guys who were doing banjo. There was actually some mechanical movement to music.
Indeed.
And when you look at bands then, like Steel Pulse, them in braids and rastas with drums and cymbals and whatever. There was activity in it. How people used to dress then.
I love it.
Today, the music scene is about people playing music, the rap.
Right.
The guys who do the music today are doing electronic. Everything is electronic.
Right.
There was talent in playing.
Clay, let me ask you, brother, now that we're on the musical tip.
Yes.
Because, if I resonate with some of, aside from the reggae.
Yes.
Yeah. No time for that, but I resonate with all the music you've got here,
Yes.
the Daz bands, the Nanel Richies, Manhattans, Shalamar, Make That Move, You've even got some Odero music, Westlife, and The Temptations, Treat Her Like a Lady.
Yes.
If there was one band,
Yes.
you've been to a good concert, of course.
Absolutely, yes.
What's your best concert that you've been to, brother? When I say best, most memorable.
UB40.
UB40. When they were here?
Nope.
UG.
Long before they came here,
yes.
And in our 80s,
Yes.
there was a time they played in Uganda.
Bus.
And I was there.
Bus.
And I've been a big follower. There are a lot of people who see people my age
Yes.
dancing to UB40.
Bus.
For example, the time
UK.
our former president
Yes.
went to Carnival. And a lot of people couldn't understand how that feeling comes through. But it resonates because, like I said, music then was an art form.
Right.
Today is a mix of sounds
That
and
is
electronics
so
and whatever.
true.
You'll never
That
see
is
guys
so
with
true.
drums.
That's so
You'll
true.
never see guys with a cymbal,
Right.
with guitars. Most of the musicians today can't even play guitar to save themselves.
I like it.
So when you would go out and you're saying like, forget about even these bands or the bands that we've talked about.
Yes.
The 80s, you'd go to KICC.
Yeah.
At that bar there,
Yes.
at the entry,
Yes.
and you're being told Les Manglepa is playing, Les Wanyika is playing, and these guys would be sweating 1 hour down the line,
My friend.
But you can hear you see the quality of the music. But today it's all electronic playing, and I don't mind that. I have kids who are that age,
Yes.
and I understand it.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that I'm past the age of listening to music, and I insist on listening to that all the time because it inspires me and brings me to my past, which was beautiful, where you would go out on dates and you'd only dance at 10 o'clock in the night.
Let me ask you, Ike. Well, for you are a partner and you're the one who put it on the map. We're talking about Kengele's Koinange.
Yes.
Because that was a spot. Because when you guys now, after you guys closed down, you know what else happens on Koinange Street, do you?
Yeah.
What else is
Koinange Street, I know what happens in
What
Koinange
else
Street.
is happening on Koinange
Red
Street?
light district.
No. You see now,
It's
as
red
we're
light
talking about the
street.
disco.
Oh, we're talking about Koinange, the street.
The Florida 2000.
There we go.
He just
Another
related me to that.
It was,
That's what happens around that area.
I don't know whether it's shut down because I'm never there at night anymore.
Wow,
It's
the
not
building
there.
was demolished.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that you see the demolishing of,
Yes.
of the entertainment spot
But, yes.
doesn't
Stop the club.
the commercial section that she's talking
by
about.
the way,
I have no idea whether it's
yes,
still
The
going.
no, I
commercial
get you.
is still there.
Yes.
Because actually they relocated, then it just didn't work. It
Yeah,
just
it
didn't
didn't
catch.
work.
And then Congo's place, the one that was downstairs, what is it called? Dolce.
Dolce.
Yes. Yeah.
Dolce is still there.
But you go, eh?
I don't
Yeah.
We have to
know
go.
whether
We
it's
Dolce.
have to make a plan with
Dolce
you.
bado iko.
Is it still underground?
Yes, same place.
okay.
Allah.
They're here renovated.
Wow.
It's
That's
doing
where
very
now
well.
you find the real serious Ruba guys.
There we go.
And
There we go.
The
There we go.
fellas with the money.
I have a question before we even move so far along, yeah?
Yes.
And I see your stories about transforming, a lot of transitioning.
Yes.
So right now there's someone listening who is stuck on a job that they don't want to, but he's scared of probably quitting because, as always, nikitoka hii job, what will I eat?
Yes.
And there's another group of people who have brilliant ideas,
Yes.
but no financiers.
Yes.
What do you... please just speak to them.
I'll tell you this, because that's a very profound question. I have faced failure very many times. But again, you must make a distinction between calling yourself a failure and calling what you're doing as having failed. You must have a clear separation of the two.
Okay.
You use the word brilliance. Brilliance is understanding that whatever you are pushing, it's not going to work. Walk away. And again, being pragmatic is understanding that this job you're holding to, you're on slavery labor. Because if you cannot appreciate, if you don't appreciate what you're doing, it doesn't matter how much money you get paid. And walking away has never been a bad option.
Do you have to have a plan when you're walking away?
Why would you want to have a plan?
Question. Yeah.
Why would we want to have a plan if you're unhappy? Let me put it in another context. Assume, for example, now I'll give you a very good example. For the last 2 weeks, my son has been telling me I want to go and play football with 8-year-olds at that playground over there. Oh, I want to buy football shoes. Oh, I want to buy sports shoes. Now, we did that yesterday. And then I told him on Saturday, we are going to that field. And me and your mother and all your siblings, plus the workers at the farm, we are coming to cheer you on in person. Because you want to play football. Now assume he goes there and he's hit or knocked down by the boys 4 or 5 times. Do you think he should quit, or do you think he should go there next weekend? Because that's his passion.
Yeah.
Now, with that passion and with what he wants to do, you understand that it is intrinsic that he gets hurt. Because football is a physical sport.
Come on.
True.
Now, if he says, I've quit because I've been hit twice, would you tell him, okay, let's play volleyball?
Of course not.
You have to go there the next weekend.
Yes.
Now, if you're in a job you don't like, it's never the money. I think that's the first thing you need to understand. Because I keep saying, I lived in this town for 20 years. Today I live in Naivasha. I'm a villager, basically. There's nothing you can't walk away from.
I like that.
Because a lot of fellas here in this town will tell you, oh, you know, I live in Umoja, I live in Nairobi West. There's nobody in Nairobi. There are very few. Let's put it this way: 8-10% of Nairobians were born here.
Yeah.
The other 90% came here with metal boxes.
I like that.
The other day.
That's true.
Yeah.
So if things are not working for you, take the next bus to Migori. Go sit home because your father and your mother are still there. Eat some ugali. Think through what you want to do. Apply for other jobs. Because unlike America or Canada or the Western countries, every person with an ID here has a home.
I like that.
Go and start again. Because you're going back to your parents. You'll tell them this failed. It didn't work. But if you're going to wake up in the morning and you already have a migraine because you're going to a job you don't like because you want to pay rent.
Yeah.
When you walk away, the rent goes and the job goes and the stress goes.
You've got to love it. It's all about aspiring to inspire, man. I call it a mishmash of a TED Talk and an Engage. It's called Transformational Thursday, where we give you stories, life journeys of people who their stories and their journeys epitomize that word called grit. This guy started off, he has, 2 companies that have gone bust twice. He was doing a Goa early 90s. Early this millennium, ne?
2002,
Yes,
2003.
yes, early this millennium. Grossing $100,000 a month. That went bust. Before that, he was doing telecoms before telecom. Making 6, 7, 8 mic a month in the 90s. That went bust. Journey continues, and then one fine day he joins Kengele's running the branch, as far as we are concerned. The one that was on Koinange Street. Rises up to became the most popular, rises up to become a director there. Then one morning, 2 prominent Kenyans, very prominent, who shall remain nameless, walk into that Kengele's and tell him, Kuria, we want to buy you out your shares. Here is $1 million. He took that check, banked it quick, fast, minus slow. What do you know next? He's at home. He's watching CNN. He sees people are being dramatic in Zambia. In DRC. And his way of thinking is very interesting. He says if these people are fighting, there must be money there.
It's true. Nobody riots when they are hungry.
That's so true.
You won't leave your house if you're hungry. So if you are running in the streets, it means you ate breakfast. That means you have money in your pocket.
And
Yes.
then he calls the travel agent. Remember, there's $1 million that is burning a hole in his pocket. He has been bankrupted 3-4 times before. He calls the travel agent and says, you know what? Book me a ticket to the DRC. And then here's where the journey begins. You go through, do you land in Kinshasa or do you go to Kisangani? You've also been to places like Goma. And me, obviously, and when you told me this story, our guest in studio, first of all, by the way, it is Edward Kuria, a brother from another namesake, managing partner, Lobo Solo Consulting House. You land in the DRC. You know me, when it comes to Central Africa, I think of the Rwandan genocide. Then, unfortunately, I think of Ebola. This was then, before you went.
Yes.
I just think of a hot zone, bleeding from your eyes, your liver melting, you're susuing it.
I'm thinking of gold. You're thinking of Ebola.
Hey. Yeah. Then I'm thinking of war and genocide.
Yes.
Kuria, you talk about your journeys in the DRC.
Yes.
In fact, then you started, if I'm not mistaken, it was timber, was it?
Absolutely. But, well, you realize I'm not going there to be welcomed by anyone.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
You've gotten onto a flight.
Yes.
KQ flies to Kinshasa every morning. And they land, first of all, in Zaire, which is across the river from Kinshasa.
Let's be clear. Yes.
So the plane will land there, fellas will take off, and then if takes off and crosses a distance of 40 kilometers and lands in another country, which you're calling now
Democratic.
DRC.
Yes.
So
there's the Congo and then there's the DRC.
Absolutely. So you get on to what you call Gili Airport. Gili Airport is the main airport. It's the JKIA of Kinshasa. But you realize that is Western DRC. They don't speak Swahili. They speak French. They don't speak a language. Do you understand? And here you are at the airport. And it's a pretty disorganized airport in the sense that nobody knows anything. So the moment you walk out, the first thing you hear is a guy behind the ropes as you walk in asking you, passport. So you obviously can tell he's asking for your passport. And you give the chap the passport thinking this is an immigration guy. And the bagger disappears.
Oh.
Wow.
So everyone leaves the airport. The guys you came in with, you give your passport, but he's looking at you from a distance. He's about 20 meters away in between fellas. And since you are new there, you keep looking for this customs officer who took your passport, and he can be found. He will appear about 30 minutes later, at which point he will tell you that your passport has expired, which you picked actually last week. But he's telling you that, and you're trying to put it together. He's saying expiré. Expiré in French, obviously you can understand, it's expired. And he tells you, even before we sort this out, let's check whether you have your yellow fever paper.
Yes.
He looks at it, and one of the beautiful things about the Congolese, the way they sing and the way they dance, is the way they work. They are very emotional and they are very physical. He will shout another till you get shocked. You tell you, expire, in a very loud voice, and he even sits down in shock. So you're wondering, expire what? You look at the paper, is okay. Then he tells you, no, you go to the medical guy there and get your injection. Now, that guy has specific injectable needles in his desk that are about 5 inches long. So you find him tapping the steel end of the needle, and you're looking at that needle, and you have to give the $20, my brother. It is not even funny. Watch. You see, you don't have a passport. And suddenly the guy even wears a white jacket that looks like you're in a butchery somewhere in a bar. No, feeling toward bar. Like a guy who's been in a butchery for hours. It's an old jacket, it's torn in some places. And then when you look at the needle properly, it looks like it has rusted. They have perfected the art of shaking you to death. And then even the money they're asking you for, you don't know how to count in French. So somebody will tell you $50. Now, if I tell you $50, what are you going to say? $50. So you're looking at him and you're asking, you can hear dollar, but you don't know second. And you have no guy there to ask what second means, because they're together in this game. So anyway, $100 later, everything gets put together. And you get out of the airport. And again now, you go to the taxi ranks. They still speak French.
Yeah.
So it will take you 10 minutes to explain exactly what you want to become, because you don't have a destination.
But
you want to go to a hotel that is not 5-star,
yes,
but is also not 0-star.
That's true.
Now, 10 minutes down the line, you're even drawing on papers. You're telling a guy, this is what I want. And anyway, I end up in the middle of town.
Right.
You get a pretty secure place to stay. And I got a hotel. Like I had said, I had a friend who had previously been in DRC.
Yes.
He was actually running a timber yard that had stopped working.
Right.
And he assisted me in getting somebody to take me around.
So at this point, the war is not so bad.
It is still there. But you see what happens is there are a lot of things that people don't understand about war or about disturbance in a country. If you are in Mozambique in June, let's assume, and there were riots here by these Gen Zs.
Yeah.
The papers will say there is a fight going on in Kenya, but you are at home.
Yeah.
If you are in Kino,
Yes.
the problem is in Kangemi.
Bas,
If you're in Naivasha, the problem, you see, you can't.
That's a very good
you
way
can't
of
simply
putting it
say Congo is violent.
Yes.
What you don't understand is Congo is about 9 times the size of Kenya.
That's true.
Like, for example, now the fight that is ongoing in Goma, it is 6:30 here now.
Yes.
In Goma, it is 7:30.
Yes.
It's 5:30.
5:30.
In Kinshasa, it's 4:30.
Can you imagine? Yes.
At the other end of Kinshasa, that is Matadi on the Atlantic, it's 3:30.
I
Now,
read
that's a
somewhere.
country with 3 time
Yes.
zones.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
So
As
when you
in-
say these guys have taken Goma, the way even Kenyans react to that is as if they've, for example, using Kenya,
Yes.
they've cut it in half. They've just taken a province like Matu.
Yes.
The rest of the country doesn't even know what. And let me tell you, you can't drive from Goma to Kinshasa.
I heard because Edward.
Because Central Africa, in
It's
between
huge.
is a forest that will take you a 2-hour flight.
Yani,
If a plane falls or if a plane crashes into Congo forest, unless you have a specific pointer to where it is, nobody even bothers looking for you.
it's like as the crow flies,
Interesting, man.
Nairobi is closer to some places in the Congo than within the country
Within the
itself.
country itself.
Good example. If
Yeah.
you fly from Jomo Kenyatta to Goma,
Yes.
and your takeoff time here is the same as the takeoff time for a guy flying from Goma to Kinshasa. Kinshasa is 2.5. I think it's 2.5 hours. It's 1.5 hours to get
From
to
here.
Goma.
Can you imagine?
So when you say there's a fight, essentially you are discussing about a very minuscule.
Yeah.
Goma is a town that borders another town from Rwanda called Gisenyi, like the Busia here with the Busia on the other side. And when you hear of a population of 2 million, the main town, that is Kinshasa, has a population of 15 million.
Listen, Ike, now you are going to need to do a round 2. But then, first of all, I need people to get this in round 1.
Yes.
Then while you start doing timber,
Yes.
but then the story is told
Yes.
of how you had to play dead.
Absolutely.
Because you know what we had, we'll call them pirates of the road.
Yes.
They were thieves.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
Well, what happened is I and my friend opened a restaurant
Yes.
in Kinshasa.
Yes.
We used to call it Villa Luna. It actually, even today, survives. It's got the biggest, not the biggest, the widest tree by diameter and the tallest in Kinshasa. Belonged to the former finance minister during Mobutu's time. We took up that land with my friend and put up a hotel. It's
This
called
guy
Villa Luna.
is Kenyan.
Yeah,
Is he?
it's a Kenyan.
Oh, right.
He's even listening as we
Right.
speak. It's
Love
just
it.
that names are not
Yes,
necessary.
yes.
So put up a restaurant there.
Right.
And then I got a place to rent. I was actually a tenant of Papa Wemba.
Show me
musician.
the
That
way.
guy. Yes, I was up.
gonna play that song
and
for you,
we
buddy.
ran it for 3-4 years, and then at one point things get very thick, and we decide to part ways with my friend. And instead of coming back to Kenya, I went to the ferry on River Congo because at that point Kenya Airways used to fly once a day to this town called Kisangani. And Kisangani still is absolutely 3,000 miles from Kinshasa by River Congo. And I was on that ferry for 29 days, got off at Kisangani now.
Mario,
because I needed
so you're on the ferry. It's not a cruise ship. It's a ferry
Oh, yes.
for a
And,
month.
29 days, and I get to Kisangani, and I'm getting off the boat to go to the airport so that I can pay for a flight to come to Nairobi the following day.
Yes.
And as I'm getting to the airport, I'm behind. I'm holding some guy on a motorbike. He's taking me there, and I see another place for sale, and it was looking very beautiful with a fence and what. And I saw the sign for sale, lavender in French.
Yes.
And I tapped the guy. I told him, let me have a look at this. So I walk in, I find this hotel with 20 rooms. It's got a bar. Yes. Not a bar, it's got a dining, and it's got a beautiful grounds.
Yes.
It was called Bon Samaritain. Bon Samaritain in French means good Samaritans. It's those Catholic nuns. So they've gone through very serious problems in Eastern Congo, and they want to leave and go to France. Long story short, in 3 days I had bought the place. Yes. And I stayed in Kisangani for another 3 years.
Wow.
Opened a bar called Boyoma, which still runs today. Right. And it is in that instance now you're asking about being shot.
Yes.
I started importing Kenyan alcohol, Kenya breweries, beers, through Soroti into Kasidi, which is the border of Uganda and DRC. So DHL would ship the alcohol from Kenya breweries here and drop it in Soroti at a go down there, and then I would come and pick it there, pay a platoon of soldiers, and we would drive it with trailers and in Congo you pay soldiers to guard you. And we would take 2 40-foot containers to Kisangani, sell them, and keep doing that. We did it 3-4 times. Then on the 5th time, we were attacked by rebels, and I was shot. I was actually hospitalized for 26 days. So when I get out, I sell the bar, I sell the trucks, and I sell the beer, and I take...
No. Stop.
Yes.
So because these guys were jacking you guys, right? For product and or money that you guys might have.
Anything, yes.
And how many people survived the shooting?
A platoon would be 12 soldiers. You have your own drivers, and obviously there are hangers-ons.
Yes.
And then about 6 people died that afternoon.
Right. Now, in that particular instance, I don't know, somebody would be like, come on, Kwach, there's PTSD and all of that.
Yes.
I'm just, because I know the story, and I need you to hear it.
Yes.
But you played dead.
You had to. You see, you couldn't shoot. You're a Kenyan.
Yes.
So here, even being seen with a gun, forget about shooting.
Right.
Is a very big event. In Congo, it's not a story. You walk into a shop, not a shop, in a market, you buy an AK-47 for $400, and then you buy bullets for 30 US cents. So everyone shoots. And that's why I keep saying Congo is very peaceful. Because everybody's armed. It's not like Kenya where you are told, the moment you go to a village center and you hear somebody shout, Akona bunduki, the whole town.
By the way, that's true.
In Congo, that's a statement like saying people are drinking sodas.
Bars, akona lighter.
Everyone in a bar, even the kids also have guns. Yes. And whatever problems you see in Eastern Congo today are not of the Congolese.
That's true.
Absolutely. Congolese are very peaceful. They are loud. They're obnoxious. They can actually burst your eardrums, but they are happy-go-lucky people. Now, when they started shooting at the convoy, I had to play dead until some chap told me exactly what the rebels do if they catch you. It's a very painful experience, which I'm sure is not. I'm not supposed to be in radio, but they go up to a point of raping men. You see, because you want to spread guilt over whoever is up. So the platoon will tie you to a tree naked, and I don't have to describe the rest. To understand how it happens.
Yes.
So the moment I had that, obviously, I became part of the people who were fighting back, and that's when I got shot. Right. My driver died. He was from Kenya. Another driver also died. The platoon commander died, but I survived. And the funny thing is, I survived because of this a Congolese woman, this short pygmy women that they call a medicine woman, put in a cigar-looking kind of plant through the bullet wound, and I went numb from neck down, and I recovered. When I recovered, I simply sold out and decided that was the closest I'll ever get to death. But I had seen enough of Congo then. You see, I had seen enough of, that would be my 7th year there.
But Villa Luna still exists?
Absolutely, yes.
And are we still vested interest?
Nope.
Okay, and then what were we doing? But you've clearly, they say, work your passion, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Absolutely.
Then Kisangani.
Yes.
How do we get to Kisangani and Boyoma Hotel, brother?
You see, that's a story I just told.
Oh, okay, that's
the
Kisangani.
River Congo thing,
Okay.
Boyoma.
I
Now,
see.
That bar is what was making me deliver. You see, I borrow a can of Tusker.
Right.
Boyoma,
By the way, you told me this, yes.
It's $5.
Yes.
You'd buy it from Kenya Breweries at 59 US cents. So you're making, after your expenses, you're making about $2 to $3 a can. Now look at a 40-foot container and look at a can of Tusker.
Wow.
Oh, we were in serious money.
But you said that you didn't lose the whole consignment here?
No. I sold the trucks. I sold the consignment because when I woke up, guys were suggesting, let's go back home.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, from Kasidi Boda to Kisangani is 2,377 kilometers. We were in a place called Mombasa, not Mombasa. Mombasa is about 1,100 kilometers from the Uganda border.
Yes.
You are 900 kilometers from your destination. So I was asking them, where is home? Because assume you die there. You can't be brought to Nairobi because first of all, the moment you pass the border,
yes,
there are no mortuaries.
Thank you. I was saying you're in no man's land. Yes,
there are no dispensaries.
Yes. Yeah, so they'll throw you there.
You get buried there. And
yes.
So I had a Kenyan name is Kariuki, not a Kariuki young guy.
Yes,
and he kept telling me I want to go home, and I was looking at him and I asked him, go. There are no buses to take you home. You have to get into another convoy that is coming this way, and it will take you days because there's no road. It's a Maram road that only operates when it is not raining. So you'll go and find there are guys who have trucks there, Kenyans which got stuck a week ago, but this guy got stuck in a sense where the tires just sank onto the surface of the road. So he decided he's going to wait for it to dry a little.
Yes.
And there's nobody to pull him. So that's what you call real desperation, you see. But you get to do it.
Yes.
And it's part of adventure. So after that incident, I went to Kisangani and I quit everything. I sold everything and flew to Goma. There's a flight called Air Congo, which now is another story altogether. I finally got to the airport I was going to before.
Yes.
And flew to Goma, crossed over the border, Gisenyi. You pay, I think, $150, and I landed in Kigali now.
Thank you. Yeah. And then now we say, listen, surely this wild west behavior has got to stop. Then we say we're going to do consultancy in Kigali.
Yes.
In this day and age, in fact, you have so many Rwandan questions. This is now the person.
Yeah.
So, Kagame is there. Clearly, this is this millennium.
Yes.
And you guys, obviously, Kenyans, I don't know if they're still top of the pops.
Yes.
Why you've been doing these other things?
Yes.
Is there a language barrier there at this particular point in time?
You see, Rwandese speak French.
Indeed.
So in the 5 years I was in Congo, bonjour, comment ça va? I know how to order food.
Yes.
Poisson avec frites, that is asking for chicken and chips. You know, I know the language. You can't speak French, and I understand most of it.
So,
so I get to Kigali, beautiful city, very quiet people, and I was now taking a break. So I decided for the next 5 months, I'm not going to work. We're just going to have fun. There are Kenyans, there are a lot of Kenyans there. There was a guy called, I don't know whether he's still there, Wahome. He used to work with an old restaurant for those guys who were in Nairobi those days, Green Corner.
Yes.
He used to be in Green Corner.
Yes.
Moved in there, opened a very beautiful restaurant, was doing nyama choma. So I would go there, sit around with
was he at Green Corner at the same time of Humphrey Karaoke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you at this time when you're saying that you want to spend 5 years just having fun, you know?
No, you see now, we left Kengeles at 38. Now I'm closing in on 50.
Oh, wow.
You see? So I'm in Kigali.
Yes.
I was staying in a place close to the airport, a hotel called Civitas. So I'd go to Kimihurura, go to all those areas. But I'm going to clubs and just listening because I have that background. And on one of my sergeants, I was just having a drink somewhere. I meet a former teacher of mine at Strathmore. Again, Strathmore pops up, who was a teacher when I was a student there. And now, at that point, was a Minister of Finance. His name is Professor Anshuti Manasseh.
Come on.
Who was then the Minister of Finance, who gave me told me there are a number of consultancy firms that would take you. And I went there. And for the next 8 months, I was just consulting and going home, accounts, audits, economic policy, and such things. And I stayed there for 8 months. Then on another time now, I decided, let me go for a weekend in Bujumbura, which usually takes, it's like going to Thika from here.
Now, let's be clear.
Yes.
Bujumbura is now the armpit of Africa.
Yes.
Not to disparage anyone. The poor of the poor.
Yes.
You see these guys who are selling jugunuts here? Burundians.
Yeah, they're from,
So it's an old antique town. Nothing ever moves at speed.
Yeah.
It's the only place where I know there are highways on the CBD of Bujumbura that remain closed for days. There is even an avenue called Presidential Avenue, Ave Presidencial, where you can't drive. It's only the president who drives because that is his highway to his house. But anyway, I never talk politics because wherever I go, I tend to adjust. I meet another friend there who used to run a hotel here. Pirates in Mombasa. He's got a hotel there in Bujumbura, and when he came from Burundi, he was employed at Kengeles. Then he goes to run Pirates, and then I find him there.
Wow.
And I was in Bujumbura for like 5 months, just walking around, getting to know the people, going out, eating fish on Lake Tanganyika. That time I don't have a plan. In fact, I'm actively not looking for a plan.
Right.
I don't want a plan. Let's put it like that. I don't want a plan. I don't want to do anything. I'm just tired.
retirement or not?
No, I'm just lying at the beach and I don't want to think. And that time people are calling me at home. Oh, when are you coming? And I'm asking them to do what now?
Yes.
I'll come, but then let me just relax. So one day, I meet a Ugandan friend of mine. His name is Charles. I think Charles is listening from Kampala, Cebu. Charles Tumusimbe had operated in Kenya for many years, and we were very good friends. We still are. In fact, we were talking yesterday, and I told him, he told me, there are guys here who are looking for cows. Hey, what cows? You see, he's a Ugandan. We are both in
Burundi.
Uganda. Yes. There are guys who are looking for cows. I asked him which cows. See, I thought Museveni has all the cows.
Thank you.
You guys.
Yes.
No. Dairy cows like the ones you have in Githunguri. You see, I'm from there.
Yes.
Hey, what's the price range? So he tells me the price. The next day we're in Kampala.
Come on.
Then I thought, okay, best thing to do is put up a yard, a zero grazing yard in Jinja, which is close to the border with Kenya.
Yes.
Bring the cows there and sell them around. We put up a website. In 3 months, we were very serious sellers of dairy cows in Jinja.
Now you see, Mariam, the point I'm trying to get across here by asking all of these questions, and one of the primary reason why he's here. You see, like when he says that, a can of beer was 50 cents here, selling for $5 there. Dairy cows, because I hear those stories where somebody, this long life milk, they ship it from here to Kigali and to Bujumbura, and they go for a ton of money. These are people who think outside the box looking in.
True.
Don't get up and go for those jobs of cleaning windows in Dubai.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Being a bot in Saudi Arabia. God bless Alfred Mutua. But this is the adventurous spirit we talk about. Yep. Now, finally, the dust settles.
Yes.
Kuria, Edward, and you know what? We come back home. And
we are not home yet.
Okay. So
yes.
No, because I'm trying to harakisha you because of time.
Yes, please.
Now, but like I said, this one has to come back.
Another session.
Yeah. Now we do the dairy.
Yes.
Then we're also doing livestock in Seboland. Yeah, M7's country.
We were not actually doing milk. The yard was simply to explain to people in Uganda how zero grazing works.
Are you serious?
And then you buy a cow. Why would I want to milk in Uganda? You see, for you to understand how a dairy cow is supposed to be treated, you have to have a yard, a zero grazing yard.
Are you serious?
So you'd come and teach somebody, this is a Frisian, this is a Nasha, this is a Gansi.
Yes.
It produces 20 liters of milk a day. For it to produce 20 liters of milk a day, this is what you have to feed it. So you come for a seminar, which we charge you, and then we sell you the cow. What brought me back to Kenya? Because you want...
No. Just hold on, brother.
Yes.
And this always confused me.
Yes.
It confuses the hell out of me, by the way. Because so many of them go to school here. I'm talking about Ugandans.
Yes.
And I'm talking about top end, good schools, proper.
Yes.
Yeah. And Museveni, he treats his cows better than he treats his people.
Yes.
Oops. I said that. Yeah. You'd think they would know a little bit more about dairy than we did.
There are things about dairy cows, Kwach, that you also don't know.
Which is true.
I started milking, despite all this history I'm telling you about. I started milking in 1972. I'm from Kiambu.
Yeah,
so I'll look at a cow and tell you this is not a producer.
Oh, okay.
And you'll ask me why, and I have reasons. Yeah. I'll look at a cow from a distance and tell you, haitatoa maziwa. I'll tell you why this cow can produce 20 liters of milk.
Just by looking at it?
Absolutely.
And you're not a vet?
I'll tell you something. You see this town called Githongori?
Yeah,
that's my village town.
Yes.
That's where I was born. That's where I was brought up.
Yeah.
Those guys do most probably 40 to 45% of all the milk produced in Kenya. And it's a constituency.
What? Yes.
You've heard of the Githongori Dairy
Cooperative
Society. They are the second biggest producers of milk after Brookside. They are huge. They do 9-10 billion shillings worth of milk a year. So they know how to look after cows. So when you're in Uganda, they have cows. But those cows, they milk them in cups. Because they're not producers. And you let a cow go and graze, and it comes back in the evening. And you know the funny thing about a cow? You only know the result of a cow when you go milking. You see, it will never ask you if you don't give it dairy milk. Just look at you. You give it some dry stuff over there. It's just looking at you. Now, you go there milking. That's when it gives you the result of your non-behavior, of your very bad behavior in the evening during milking. So you had to teach them. And then there are things like tick-borne diseases. You need to know how to take care of that cow. You charge him for that. Then you're buying a cow here, most probably at $800-900. You're selling at $2,000. Wow. So actually, I didn't need to sell many because I was also idle. You'd sell 8 cows, you make $10,000. You are living in Jinja. It's a beautiful town. You play golf. You call my guys here in Nyandarua. They bring another stuff. I was casual until COVID came in. And then Ugandans started saying that it's Kenyans who are bringing in COVID. You remember that story?
Yes.
And a day before the previous Uhuru Kenyatta closed down the borders, I was in Kiambu. And then I'm told that the president will shut down the country for the next 1 year. And nobody can move anywhere.
Yes.
I got out and I went to Bura because somebody had told me there COVID will not reach there and there's no big policing. I was planting rice during COVID in Bura.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, the Bura irrigation scheme, how?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So now we've come back home and we've gone down there. Yes.
No, now, listen, brother.
Yes.
Wow. It's 12 minutes to the end of the show.
Absolutely.
We've never taken a pause.
Oh, wow.
On a story.
Yes.
Because like I said, this one, we need a part 2. You're off to Central Africa, new destinations.
Yes.
You will be back in about a month, 6 weeks or so.
This is home.
You've got to come and regale us.
No problem.
You met just to basically bring it back home, speaking of home.
Yes.
You then met the love of your life. You've now settled down. What still keeps you going, brother? You've got young kids.
I have young kids now.
Yeah.
I got married 3 years ago.
Yeah,
to a pretty beautiful wife.
Right.
Who understands my eccentricities, because I think that's the most important thing. Who will not stop me from being me. Who I don't have to pretend to be someone else. And my wife understands me. It doesn't have to be anything else. She understands my like I said, eccentricities. If I want to go to Zambia, I'll tell you, for example, I'm now going to Zambia. And the reason I'm going to Zambia is she's the one who showed me that. We are in bed and we are both, you know how you're in bed, everybody's online. And then she sees the opportunities in Zambia. She sends it to me. I'm next to her in bed. And I'm looking and I told, oh my God, call the travel agent. And the next Sunday, I was in Lusaka.
Yes.
And I visited Lusaka. They're beautiful investment opportunities.
Right.
It's Kenya, 1979.
I love it.
It's a
I love the way
beautiful
you put
country.
that,
The people are nice. Land is cheap. There are opportunities. There are very many opportunities. And they love Kenyans. But then you'll hear people telling you that Zambia is very far. Mm-hmm. And I keep asking people, when Delamere came to Naivasha, he came by ship to Mombasa.
Can you imagine?
Then he bought 4 cows.
Bus.
He didn't have horses. He bought 4 cows. And then constructed a go-kart.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it must have taken, look at him at Mariakani.
Yes.
Are you voy after now 3 weeks?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're in Nairobi a month and a half later. First of all, there's nothing beyond Nairobi. Then you keep, there's no road even. Then he goes to Naivasha and
decides here.
You're being told, take a flight. And then use this tarmac road to this Kakona, invest there. Oh,
Nimbani
that
sana.
is very far.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find very sad is that if you look at the generation that we have here, the one that they're calling Gen Z, I just hope somebody takes that bold step and gets out of Kenya. Go out there, because you're fighting a space that is quickly diminishing.
EK, and this is it's Transformational Thursday is all about lessons.
Yes.
And you are teaching them, brother.
Yes.
Everyone, when they think diaspora,
Yes.
even if it's in an African context,
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it is South Africa, maybe Kigali, okay, that's it, okay.
You will never find money in comfort.
Thank you. But all of them, it's the global north, Europe, Stato, maybe the sandbox.
Yes.
That is Arabia.
Yeah.
What is your message to these people, and then the opportunities that this continent called Africa?
I'll give you a perfect example. In the last 1 year, I've been to Zambia twice, and for extended periods. And I've traveled by road from Lusaka to a place called Mufumbwe, which is about 2,200 kilometers from Lusaka. Mm-hmm. Because Lusaka is huge. It's 3 times the size of Kenya. The population of 10 million. You go to a place like Lusaka, there are no samosas. Let's start there. They don't know how to make samosas. If you want a samosa, you have to go to an almost 5-star hotel. They don't know how to do the things that the youth are doing here. For you to get a place to photocopy, you have to go quite around. Now, there's nobody who has ever stopped a youth from here from looking for 70K.
I like that.
Put a photocopier there.
I like that.
They don't know how to do the works that you go to places like Kangemi, you go to places like Buruburu. You'll find a lot of one thing I'll tell you about the Gen Zs in Kenya. They are the sharpest guys I've ever, and I've been around. They are very, very, very sharp. And what is happening is they are unable to get out of that cocoon. They want to be within Kenya, to be within a certain geographical area. And I keep saying, the Kikuyus who live in Nyandarua, the ones who live in Nakuru, the ones who live in Laikipia, it's the generation that went there and bought those Muzungu farms.
Yes.
And the families moved out there. Then everybody decided they are never going to move. It is important to take a bus. Because people keep saying fly to Zambia. Why would you want to fly to Zambia? Take a bus to Namanga. Like take another one to Dar es Salaam.
Yes.
Take a third one. You've been in Lusaka.
Bus.
Instead of spending money going to Vashas for the weekend, put a 40K in your pocket.
I like that.
Go and explore opportunities. I'll tell you something very funny as almost my last one. Yeah. I have also visited Malawi. Blantyre and Ilongwe don't have a single mall.
I remember telling you, my friend told me this.
They don't have a single mall. Now, when you understand that they don't have a single mall, now you trickle it down to they know their malls. But you have a population that is ignorant, not out of not being educated, but out of the fact that they are not competing for opportunities. That's where the youth should go. Toka nyumbani, go over the border. Going to Zambia does not require a visa. Going to Malawi does not require a visa. Now, when you are what I keep seeing on the internet, and I'm not very good at it, is groups of people saying, "Oh, we are hiring a bus. We want to go to
party in Kisumu for the
true.
weekend,
Yeah.
take a bus, go to Malawi, start looking at opportunities, because nobody will ever give them to you.
I would be remiss, EK, if I didn't ask it of you this way as well.
Yes.
But having your travel experience,
Yes.
but you see, you're somebody who assimilates with the people.
Yeah.
Should we behave as Kenyans when we go out there? Because apparently, there's some sort of ATT or
To the south.
Yes.
To the south. The only people who are not very friendly to us are Tanzanians. Ugandans are okay.
Okay.
Congolese love Kenyans because a lot of them are here also.
Exactly.
Zambians love us because a lot of the immediate past president
Yes.
of
Yes.
Zambia was a Kenyan resident for 6 years.
Indeed.
A lot of them have gone to school here.
Yeah.
So are Malawians.
Yes.
And Kenya is admired not because it is economically better, but because we are known as very versatile businessmen,
Sharp.
which is a skill set that needs to be taken there. All I'm saying is, instead of taking a bus and saying, let's go see Diani, which is in Kenya, take a bus, go over the border, go over the Tanzanian border, start exploring opportunities.
I love that.
Yeah.
EK, when your story is told,
Yes.
and the sun sets,
Yes.
what will be the title of your book, brother?
Hey.
The Black Cecil Roads.
No. I would say, if I was to look at my life, and I was saying that the other day, if I were to pass away, I would like to have been known as a man who was curious.
I love that. So what will be the title?
Curious.
I like that.
Because I never go
The
anywhere
curious case
intending
of-
to make $1 million.
Yes.
I go there because I don't like being told this is what happens in Malawi. The way I'm telling you.
Exactly.
I've been there. I've done that. So I'll come and we are having a beer with you,
Yeah.
Kwach, and I'll tell you, can I tell you, Kwach,
Yeah.
there's no single mall in Lilongwe, Malawi. And you ask, how is that possible?
Well.
Then that gives us
But-
a backbone
Yes.
to a story for the whole evening.
But-
What do you think my friends go through when we're having a beer?
I can only imagine. Listen, EK, thanks very much for coming through. Now, we always give people the opportunity to plug one of their biasharas. You do auditing taxes when somebody, but Nani, if somebody who's listening to your taxes are good, ne? Oh, good. But you'd say that, yes?
Not into the millions,
No.
If one wants to consult for you.
Let me just put it this way. What I have is a small, what you'd call boutique firm.
But
We do not deal with audits. We don't deal with income tax returns.
Right.
We don't do financial statements for companies. What we deal with is when you have an issue with KRA that you can't solve. We walk in as tax consultants. We look at your problem. We engage Kenya Revenue Authority, and we give you solutions. It has to be a specific and a bad problem. Because if you don't have a bad problem, there's no reason to get in touch with me.
I love it.
And what happens is a lot of people misunderstand Kenya Revenue Authority, which is something that I needed to put across.
Please.
Kenya Revenue Authority is made up of graduates, people who are well educated, people who understand the Tax Procedure Act. It is the Kenyan taxpayer who misunderstands the Tax Procedure Act. And that is why they say you can never shave yourself.
Yes.
We understand the Tax Procedure Act. Kenya Revenue Authority people understand the Tax Procedure Act. So sometimes we act on your behalf to solve your tax problems. And the misunderstanding that comes with Kenya Revenue Authority is you will go there with emotion.
Yes.
We go there with facts. And I have read a lot about how people things they say about Kenya Revenue Authority. But I can tell you, in the years I've worked with them, in the years I've engaged with them, it's a beautiful institution. Obviously, every place has its own bad apples, but an extremely big majority of them are gentlemen and ladies of integrity. The fact is, when you go there and argue the Tax Procedure Act and you're not a tax expert, you walk away angry and you leave them very disappointed. It is important that people understand that there are ways of dealing with the Kenya Revenue Authority and understand they are also Kenyans. There's nobody who works with Kenya Revenue Authority who is an Ethiopian. So you'll meet out here with them, So go there, be friendly with them. There's no problem that would be sorted. People walk in there like you're dealing with foreigners.
Hey, namesake.
Yes, sir.
Kuria.
Yes.
Thank you so very much for coming through, man. Literally, it's the end of the show. You know what? It's all about Transformational Thursday. It only gets better and better every Thursday. You promise us you're going to come back on your return journey, because we are not done.
Absolutely.
And Miriam, it is Wairimu Miriam.
At Wairimu Mariam, yes.
Okay. Say bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, been a big
Yes.
pressure. Have a nice evening. All right.